A lot of concern recently about just what they're teaching our children at universities, just what they're teaching anybody at universities, in fact. Uh, is the modern university a place where you can have robust discussion and bring different ideas? Or has it been hijacked by people who want you to think a certain way and not talk about other topics at all? Concerns about free speech at a number of our universities here in New Zealand, and it seems to be following a global trend. I'm glad to say, though, it's not all bleak. There is some good news in this picture. Joining us on the program now, Jonathan Ayling, CEO of the Free Speech Union. Jonathan, kia ora, good morning.
Atamarie.
Now, this isn't biased. I just want to say this up front. The university that's doing better than all of the others in the regard of free speech policy happens to be the university that you graduated from, but which I'm sure makes you proud, but it had no influence in the decision or the rating of this university, right?
Of course. Well, it's worth noting, Andrew, I've done postgrad at two universities, and
Okay.
one is leading the country, and the other is leading the country, but in the wrong way. I did
Okay.
bit. I'm having a bit of a spat with them at the moment.
One
And in
is
Otago,
Can we just say one is Spain, the other is England? Too soon? I'm not sure. Uh, but actually, an article that you posted recently saying that there's a gold standard in terms of free speech policy for Otago University. Now, ex-Otago University myself, I would say not just a gold standard, but a blue and gold standard, because that's the colour of the scarves we all wore back in the day.
look, we've been following this process for a little while now. A number of universities around the country have been working on free speech statements of some kind or another. Auckland University at the moment is consulting on theirs. Victoria University has put out these very insipid principles of public debate. Canterbury University have gone through it. Massey University has gone through it. We were waiting to see what Otago came up with. And
Yep.
look, Andrew, it won't surprise you. We were expecting a bit of a fight on our hands. You just become so you just start to expect to be disappointed
Yeah.
by these universities. Each time it seems lower and lower. And the university council started off by excluding the public. So often council meetings at universities are open to public engagement. They can watch,
Yep.
and they started by excluding the public.
It's not a good start.
And
No.
I thought, oh, here we go. And we had put out a statement saying, how on earth is a statement on free speech excluding the public? How is this part of open and transparent governance?
Yep.
And a few hours later, the egg was a little bit on our face as this new gold standard emerged. At first, I thought it was a joke. I was actually over in Sydney launching what is now dubbed the International Association of Free Speech Unions. We had free speech unions coming together from around the world, and I was there trying to navigate, shaking hands with bigwigs, and then reviewing the statement as well. That just seemed better than we could have ever hoped for. And it starts, Andrew, by saying free speech is the lifeblood of the university.
Amen.
And could not put it better ourselves. It is the sine qua non, the without which the rest does not exist. Without free speech, universities become centers of indoctrination, not education. And unfortunately, we have seen that time and time again, both in New Zealand and around the world. And there's something of a course correction occurring in some universities in some places. Of course, we don't want to overstate a trend, but there are a number of universities in the United States in particular that have gone so far down one path of trying to control conversations and suppress dissenting perspectives and shut out the allegedly hateful or racist or free thinking. And they are realizing to an extent the error of their ways. And in New Zealand, we haven't seen that land yet very much yet. Perhaps this is turning a new leaf, though.
Now, you would hope that university is a place where you could learn something, but I can understand why you thought you were getting pranked, actually, when you saw this. It just doesn't sound like a university. But, I mean, unpack it a little bit more. Was there too much in the headline, or do they actually mean what they say when they say that it is the lifeblood of the university?
Well, a statement on free speech is exactly that. It's only words. And we will be following with interest to see how this policy is applied. I'm certain that when certain provocative speakers are invited by academics to come and speak, there will be some who still want to have them shut out and excluded.
Yep.
This policy, though, even if it is just words, let's see, will give us a big stick to beat both the University of Otago with. They're the ones who championed this,
Yep.
but also other universities as well who are putting forward very weak, insipid statements. The Auckland University's statement on free speech, for example, doesn't start with free speech is the lifeblood of the university. It doesn't start with anything with reference to free speech, actually. It opens with the University of Auckland is committed to the principles of the treaty, which kind of starts by taking a whole lot of speech off the table instead of defending free speech generally. So throughout the statements that Otago released, it endorsed the fact that students should not be kept safe from ideas. And I thought that was crucial. This idea that certain perspectives or beliefs make people unsafe is not worth tolerating. It claimed that speakers do not have a right necessarily to the campus, though, themselves. And I think that's a fair point.
Yep.
Universities are not they're publicly funded, but they are not publicly owned like our parks or other public spaces. They have a purpose to perform in our society, and it's not there for anyone and their dog to go along and use their lecture theatres. There's two kind of models emerging here, and I'm not sure I care whether it's one or the other, as long as it's consistent. Victoria University, for example, says that the public can hire those facilities. And so we say, look, if that's part of your funding model and you're making money out of having those facilities, good on you. There's a bit of need for money around some of these universities at the moment. You need to do that in a way that's non-discriminatory. If you're opening it to the public, you can't pick and choose who uses it. However, universities like Auckland have said, no, we are a scholarly institute and you have to be invited by members of the faculty to be able to use it. And I'm okay with that as well, but as long as it's done in a non-discriminatory way.
Now, something which particularly surprises me pleasantly surprises me, Jonathan, don't get me wrong, but given who the new Vice-Chancellor is at Otago University, and particularly this is the same individual that said to the protesters outside Parliament that they have lost their rights to protest because they have a different opinion than me, I'm paraphrasing here, but he's not exactly what I would call a champion of free speech, and yet he is the Vice-Chancellor at Otago University, of course, a former Deputy Prime Minister, former Finance Minister here in New Zealand. Did that surprise you, or perhaps he hasn't had his influence kicked in yet? I don't know.
So Grant Robertson has recently been announced as. Did you forget his name there, Andrew?
Oh no! I was building up and allowing you to do
that. Grant Robertson has taken over the role there, and we don't know how to interpret that. There's been a number of us discussing academics around the country have commented on this, and some suggest that rather than actually this being the fruit of him not engaging, some say this is his brainchild. And if that is the case, bravo. There is, for whatever political agreements or disagreements there may be with the previous Labour government, Grant Robertson is a pragmatic politician. And he's not an ivory tower academic. And I think he may be able to see the writing on the wall in some regards, having come from Parliament and Cabinet himself, saying, pay attention, guys. Cabinet isn't impressed. Parliament isn't impressed. The people are noticing that you're out of step with them on a lot of these issues and they're footing your bill. And so it is possible, this is speculation, I don't know for certain, it is possible that we may actually see some course correction by a pragmatic politician coming to look in to deliver core services and let the university perform its basic function rather than flights of fancy that perhaps certain academics are more given to.
Hey, good.
We'll see.
That would be a wonderful redemption story for Grant Robertson, and all the best to him. It also, I suppose, gives a clear choice for people considering which university to attend or to send their children to. Otago University standing out above the others at the moment, and hey, we challenge all other tertiary educational institutions to do likewise. Game on, really.
Well, that's exactly it. I can't imagine that some of the other vice-chancellors are particularly pleased with Otago University right now as they try and circulate their statements as well. They will other statements will seem to be particularly weak now in comparison to them.
Yeah.
And it's a point of difference in a market that's saturated by a lot of groupthink. And so nothing like a little bit of competition to try and up that game. Again, it'll come down to how this is actually applied. But I hope that it does spark a little bit of conversation around the way free speech needs to be built into our universities. And for those many academics, and I know that there are many of them, who agree with the crucial importance of debate and dialogue in discovering truth and knowledge, it may give them a little bit more of a backbone, a bit more courage to stand up. And I'm convinced that our would-be censors in society are not in the majority. The majority of Kiwis, and I'd suggest even the majority of academics, do not think that people need to be protected from ideas. But we have lost the courage to stand up and speak out for this crucial belief. And I think that statements like this will give us something to hold to, a few lines to speak from, and hopefully we'll see some of them actually come to the party and join us in saying that all Kiwis should be allowed to voice their opinions and beliefs without fear of reprisal.
Now, of course, not just the students, but academics may end up voting with their feet in terms of heading to Otago, although particularly this time of the year, pack your thermals. It's pretty, as you well know, Jonathan, pretty chilly in Dunedin at this time of the year, but hey, it's worth it, right?
I did my master's down at Otago, and I didn't put my foot on campus once during my entire time there. Actually, I was in the sunny Wairarapa studying by distance, and I could not bring myself to the cold and the poor housing I understand that exists down there. So I'm afraid I can't comment.
There's more to it than burning couches. Just wanting to say that. Hey, Jonathan, appreciate your comments, your insight. Thanks for joining us.
Cheers.
Hey, thanks very much for joining us in the Rhema studio. Thanks very much for watching the interview. It's kind of nice to have an audience, actually. And if you did like what you watched, then do give us a like, do give us the thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more interviews like that one, or perhaps even better, subscribe and those interviews will come straight to you. Don't forget to turn on your notifications, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.